Back in August this year, the Taylor Swift's concerts at Wembley drew a huge amount of attention. Swifties across the world flocked to London to see their idol. Politicians went, football players went. Every star across the galaxy seemed to be attending the Swift concerts. They were the event of the summer. And now there were two sets of concerts played by Swift at Wembley. The first lot were back in June, just prior to the general election. The second lot were in August. A week previously, there'd been a disruption by Austrian police of a suspected suicide plot, bomb plot in Austria, in Vienna. Three of Swift's shows were cancelled at the stadium where she was due to play there. Three young men were arrested and bomb-making equipment, albeit very crude, was discovered. Their intention apparently was to detonate a bomb in a crowd of Swifties in Vienna. Now, this led to a security assessment by police in conjunction with MI5. It was routine, as happens after any type of serious incident or arrest or operational activity by counter-terrorism policing on the continent or globally. They decided that there was no credible threat to security for Swift's Wembley shows, and that they could go ahead. There was no specific information about any attack, and it was felt that there was no danger. However, it now transpires that Swift's mother, Andrea, who is also her manager and a formidable woman by the sounds of it, was adamant that unless a proper police convoy was supplied for her daughter, then her daughter would not be playing Wembley, and 500,000 hearts would have been broken. This led to high-level discussions at the top of government. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper was present. These discussions were held between a little-known outfit called the Homeland Security Group, which is part of the Home Office and oversees counter-terrorism operations in this country from the government's perspective. The police were in attendance, along with people from Wembley who were obviously organising the concerts. And indeed, there were discussions with Taylor's mother, Andrea. She was involved with the discussions around what security arrangements would be put in place. Now, the one thing she wanted more than anything was an escort, a proper police escort. And we're not talking about one single traffic cop. She wanted a presidential style or something which she felt was secure for her daughter, which perhaps understandable given what had happened the previous week in Austria. However, the Special Escort Group, which is a Met unit, and it is an elite officers, mainly armed, though not on this occasion with Taylor Swift, but they're mainly armed. They are the outriders you see with flashing blue lights at the head of the cavalcades and presidential style. So they would typically work with guard members of the royal family and leading members of the royal family, senior government ministers and visiting heads of state. They also are responsible for guarding high-profile prisoners where there's a potential escape risk. And they also protect armoured vans which take off large consignments of drugs and firearms to be destroyed. What they don't do as part of their policy is provide any cover for private individuals. This request by Swiss management team was initially refused. There were then these meetings, discussions. The Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley's office became involved, and there were talks between the Special Escort Group controllers and the senior Met. That the controllers also understandably didn't want to breach their protocols because, as one former Met commander put it to me today, where does this end up? Will the Gallagher brothers be given a special escort for the Oasis shows next year? If there was a genuine threat to security, cancel the shows. But if the show's going on, was it really justified that to provide this elite, highly trained officers to guard Miss Swift and her entourage, to clear their way effectively through the traffic of London, going out from their hotel to Wembley? Now, it's open to debate. But one thing that does come across from this story is, that one issue is the potential for political interference around Met Police decisions. Now, the Home Secretary and Mayor of London were both involved in these discussions around Swift security. They wanted the shows to go ahead, and that was understandable. But was pressure brought to bear upon the police? And were they exceeding their authority by doing so? That's a suspicion by some of the officers, some ex-officers. That is a suspicion. It is something, I don't think it's a corruption thing, but there is something in the background here about, obviously, Labour, the controversy around the Labour freebies. This story plays right into that, because there were 10 Labour MPs, including none other than Sir Keir Starmer, Prime Minister, who all received free tickets to the Wembley shows by Swift. Does this perhaps create a perception that there's no such thing as a free lunch, as someone's asked me today? It's something that I think people will have their own individual opinions on, rather than being able to specifically say they crossed the line. I would say that perhaps they could have been a little bit close to crossing the line and interfering with police independence, but perhaps they had the right reasons to do so.